Hello, it's layperson Lisa with a reflection on the readings for the 28th Sunday in Ordinary Time. So today I was sitting and I was just having a conversation with Jesus. My eyes were closed. I imagined he was right next to me. And I was just like, Jesus, I'm speaking the truth to someone. And they're just constantly arguing with me, telling me that that is not right when I know for a fact that these things are truth. And it was just something I'm struggling with, like, okay, like, this person is not respecting me, like, this person is not hearing me, and I'm making it about me. And Jesus just said to me, well, I am the truth. And people are constantly arguing with me too. And so what does Jesus do? In the reading today, he looks at them with love. When the young man who was following all the commandments, and he goes to Jesus and says, what else do I need to do to enter into the kingdom of God? And Jesus tells the young man, you have all these possessions, sell them and give the money to the poor. But the young man is so attached to these things that he walks away sad. And Jesus looks at him with love, and that's what Jesus is calling me to do in this situation. Blessed are the poor in spirit, because theirs is the kingdom of God, is our gospel proclamation for this weekend. And that is just so true. We're called to be humble, to grow in humility, to be like Jesus, to have this dependency and trust in him. And so I shouldn't worry about what this person says, because I know it's truth. Jesus knows it's truth. And I can just look at this person with love, because my tendency is to like, okay, well, I'm not going to deal with this person any longer. That's not being poor in spirit. That's relying on myself and not relying on Jesus. I'm reading Interior Castle, and Saint Teresa of Avila. This morning I was reading, and she writes how to grow in humility, we need to stay in the room instead of walk into the next one. And again, I was like, okay, like, that is my tendency. Like, let me get out of here. Let me not deal with this person any longer. But no, we're called to be humble, to love like Jesus. I was reading a book on virtue, and it was talking about St. Augustine, his city of God, and how there's the city of God or the city of the world. And in this situation, I was in the city of the world, because I was putting my pride, how I felt, how I want to be perceived, how I want to be liked, ahead of the city of God, how I'm called to love. And he says how in the city of the world, people who think they're humble are prideful, and those who are humble know they are prideful and seek to be humble. And so that is what God is calling me to do in this situation. And maybe there's a situation in your life where you're making something about you that's not, because that's what I was doing. I was making the situation about me, but I shouldn't give it any value. I shouldn't give what I know is not true any value. I shouldn't give how this person was making me feel any value, because all that matters is my relationship with Jesus. And so this is something I've been struggling with, like, okay, Jesus, like, what are you calling me to do in this situation? And it's been constantly like, humility, 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 love, love, love. And when I read the reading, the gospel for today, again, it was Jesus speaking to me, like, okay, you're putting what this person says or thinks about you ahead of what I say about you. And that's all that matters. All that matters is Jesus, and how he calls me to cling to him, not to my perception of what is going on in this situation, because that may not even be how the other person sees it. The other person may have something going on where they don't realize what maybe what they're saying or how they're responding, just like maybe I'm not as well. And so there's usually like three sides. Like, there's the truth, my point of view and the other person's point of view. And so we're called to not worry about being right. And so like that's, well, I'm right. Like, why is this person not seeing it? How are they denying this? But that doesn't matter, because Jesus is all that is good. Jesus is the truth. And when I'm putting myself, like I'm filling myself with all these things, and I'm getting like almost consumed by them. But who should I be consumed with? I should be consumed with Jesus. And how am I growing in humility through this situation instead of running away? There was something else I wanted to say. What was it? In regard to, oh, yes, now I remember. Okay, so blessed are the poor in spirit. So blessed are those who are fully dependent on God, who are selfless. So Jesus is calling me to be selfless in this situation, to empty myself of me, empty myself of my perceptions, empty myself of these thoughts that I'm having, so that He can fill me. Because if I'm full of all this junk, then I'm not able to be His vessel. I'm not able to be in a disposition of receptivity. And the poor in spirit are those who empty themselves fully of them, so that Jesus can fill them, so that Jesus can flow through them, so that Jesus can use them as His instrument. Because when I get caught up in all this stuff, then I'm not being His instrument. I'm not open to receiving the graces that He wants me to give. And so He just calls me in this situation to renounce these desires, to renounce, like, okay, this desire to be liked, this desire to be right, and to just allow Him to help me to receive the graces, to empty me of me. And so where in your life, or what situation in your life, are you allowing to consume you? What situation are you not inviting Jesus into? What situation is filling you so that you cannot be filled with Jesus? Remember that Jesus looks at you with love, and He calls us to do the same, to look at those who we struggle with, who are actually opportunities for us to grow in humility. He looks at them with love too.